So Brandon, back to the flat fee brokerages, just probably like in the rest of the country, a lot of these FSBOs are eventually hiring flat fee brokerages after a couple of weeks.
Sure.
After I've been following up with them through that process. Should I stay away from keep following up with them even though they've hired the flat fee services, or should I still follow up with them?
My opinion only is that you still follow up, because most of them are still for sale by owners just in the MLS. So that's how, I forget who posted that this morning. That's how I get those listings. And that's how the agent in our group just got his listing. He didn't stop following up because those people just dropped the ball left and right. And the seller says, oh my gosh, I'm still alone. This didn't work. It wasn't just the MLS. So the advice, Paul, is to continue to follow up.
And I have over the years, but I feel like I shouldn't be doing it. Do they sign an exclusive right contract with these flat fee brokerages? I don't know what they sign.
I don't either. I can tell you in my MLS, you can still prospect MLS entry only listings, which is not an exclusive right to sell contract. It's just an MLS service. So if it's of concern, then you got to have a conversation with your local MLS to determine, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, Paul.
Yeah.
Let me show you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know what the MLS entry are.
Okay, good.
But I know I know all the flat fee companies in San Diego because I'm competing against so many of them out here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I'm using Steve Angeline's mailers as well too. And so I'm mailing to a lot of these flat fee ones too. But in my head, I'm like, should I stop mailing to these people? Because now they're under contract with this other brokerage. So I'm kind of in that, I'm debating whether I should stop mailing them, still following up with them. I'm not sure what I should be doing.
Well, mailers is easy. I mean, mailer is the easiest thing to protect yourself against, what you're worried about, which is essentially prospecting homes that are actively listed with another brokerage.
Yeah.
Mailers, you just put on the bottom of your mailer, it's a disclaimer. It says, if your home is already listed, please, losing my words right now, but
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You just put the disclaimer on the bottom. All your mailers should have the same disclaimer on the bottom of them all. So mailers is simple. I would absolutely mail. I mean, that's the easiest thing ever. Dude, because the same thing you're running into, Paul. Like, would you ever second guess ever in your life as a realtor second guess sending mailers to a random neighborhood as like a farming play?
No.
Never, not once. Guaranteed those are going to houses that are listed. Yeah. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
So you don't worry about that. We don't. So it's the same thing. So that disclaimer is easy, but I think you should do some due diligence. But like for us, I call them out of the MLS. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen me do this before, and I talk about it in the course a little bit, but you got to do some due diligence, right? Like in the boards, you guys, the thing is like your MLSs and your boards don't really know. I mean, these are people, not to say bad anything about anybody, but they're just employees. Like they don't understand like contracts. Most of them aren't realtors. So you really got to do some due diligence and really dig here, Paul, because here's what you need to figure out. Let me show you what I mean. So if we go into my MLS, because here's what I hear a lot. Well, my market, Brandon, you can't do that. Or my market doesn't have that. Well, based on what? Like, did you just ask like Susie at the front desk at the board? And she's like, yeah, you can't like that is not good enough. Like, I think you got to do some more due diligence. And here's what I'm talking about. Gosh, why is my computer doing this? All right. Hold on, Paul. Let me just fix this. There we go. So if I go to actives, let me just show you what I'm talking about here. And this always brings up a lot of questions and conversations, which is fine. We need to have it. But if I select level of service here and I just pick MLS entry only, let me just grab these. I don't want any leases. I just grab these. I'm just going to pick on one real quick. Okay, let me just see. All right, so here's kind of what I'm talking about, okay? So this is in the MLS, right? And in the realtor remarks, it says MLS entry. Commission is 3%, minus $199. But here's what it says. Please contact Mike with all questions. 586. It has the cell phone number of the seller. It has Mike, the seller's email address, right? Mike is not the listing agent. The listing agent is this. And I verify that. You can in the tax records, but the point is, like, in my MLS, because I've done due diligence, this is not under an exclusive right to sell contract. So, like, if you really had a buyer, let's pretend, Paul, you had a buyer for this house. Who would you have to call? Tell me.
I call this that phone number and the questions are out there.
And who is that? It's the seller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the thing I'm talking about. So when we ask the question, here, let's look at another one. Like, you have to call the seller. This is a FSBO in the MLS.
Right.
So when you ask me, that's why I tell you yes, because, I mean, this is what it's telling me to do. Look, MLS entry only. Submit all offers, questions to the seller of the house. Here's cell phone, here's email address. Right? You with me on this? Here's the tax record. Is the owner of this property. And this is a FSBO. So 1,000,000%, I'm going to call David, or whoever this David is. This is what the MLS is telling me to do. Call David. And when David puts his house in this property, or this house in the MLS, he is expecting realtors to call. Paul, this is why he did it. Watch this. Right. I go to showing time, schedule showing. I don't even have to call this guy. Watch. Schedule showing. Everybody, I hope, watching this, all the new agents will love this. I click on a showing. I can go agent preview, schedule a preview appointment on this cat's house, not even ask him permission. I'm in the house whenever I feel like it. That's the rules he plays by.
Yeah, I was always kind of curious as to what, if these people sign an agency, or I never knew how they go about it. If there's any type of contract that's signed at all when they work with these MLS flat fee companies.
Yeah. From MLS entry only in my market, there's no agency relationship. The seller does everything. You can see that clearly in the agent remarks. It's like, don't ask me anything. All your offers, all your stuff goes right to the seller. And then I can schedule a preview appointment right with the seller. I don't have to call and ask for one.
Well, FSBOs over the past few years, and they've sued. They were suing one of these MLS flat fee companies just because of the way they marketed the property and what have you. And they get so aggravated with them, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But in the past, I've brought like statistics of these MLS flat fee companies, and you'll notice a lot of them get canceled, or they get, they'll last like 9 days, 10 days, and it's over. And you call the FSBO up and you'll ask them, like, what happened? And they'll tell you these companies are so bogus.
So I almost want you to repeat that, because it's usually an hour into these calls, everyone's starting to doze off and sleep. What Paul Vella just said is the reason why I answered Paul Vella's question the way you asked me. And this is what I was role playing with Susie, with Matt. Dude, they drop the ball every time. Their stats are horrendous. And Paul, you're exactly right. Like, they give up quick. They're like, oh, I'm going to save all this money. Let me just pay $300 to put in the MLS. They do that. They make that decision. And oh boy, a large percentage of them regret that quickly. And so that's kind of the point, is like, and so Paul, if I'm you, like, I don't know, like, I'm going to continue to call them. I'm going to continue to mail them. That's what I'm going to do, and like, I'm okay with the risk that I'm taking. Now, I'm not business partners with you. You got to make that business decision, but Brandon, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.